As you can tell, this morning is definitely a bit abnormal. A lot of additional really great pieces. And so I'm sure many of you will be pleased at this, but I'm going to be teaching at a much shorter time than usual. Yes. So the funny, that was Timmy. I knew that one would happen. The funny thing about that is that there literally was someone who clapped, I don't think humorously, at the 9 a.m. But anyways, so here's what's going on. We have a crazy month here. Honestly, probably the craziest June in the almost 7 years that I've been here. We have 3 huge things going on. We have a team that's leaving for Kenya this Friday. Whoa, okay. So you'll hear more of them actually at the end of this service. We're going to pray over them real quick. We have, as Rachel mentioned, we have the Kids Boom Summer Camp, and then there's Youth Summer Camp. So there's like 3 huge ministry initiatives happening in this month. I'm part of the team that's going to Kenya, so I'm actually going to be gone the next couple Sundays. And so one of the things that I wanted to prepare you for is that we will have a guest speaker the next 3 Sundays who will be starting a brand new series for us. It's going to be a culture of blessing. His name is Mike. He's absolutely amazing. He actually spoke a little bit to our staff last November. Dynamic, charismatic. You're going to love him. Anybody here ever been to Take Your Seat in Chino Hills off Soquel Canyon? Okay, so actually he runs that place. So he's not just a pastor, he's also a business entrepreneur. He's a very, very, very unique individual. So he's going to be here next Sunday. You don't want to miss that. And so here is this past week, I had an extra heart and an extra burden for us as a church. And so this isn't a part of a series, it's kind of just a standalone sermon, but it's about this. I want us to get ready for the summer. I want us to prepare for what God is going to do. And so this is all literally about preparation for the summer. And here's why I say that. American Christianity does this really weird thing. From my understanding is other cultures actually don't have this. But for churches during the summer, people just kind of disappear. And we know this statistically. So literally attendance drops 20-30%. June, July, the beginning of August, giving will go down, and people are just gone. A lot of people are gone on vacation, which, to be clear, is totally fine, okay, and normal. Go on vacation, you deserve it. I'm going to go on one, not till the end of August, so I'm not bagging on vacation. But what I do want us to do is to directly counteract that pull that you're going to feel culturally to kind of disappear from church during the summer. I want us to actively resist that temptation. And here's kind of my main point this morning, and we can put this up. What if summer isn't just for vacation? What if it's for preparation? What if summer isn't just for vacation? There's nothing wrong with vacations. But what if summer is also for your spiritual preparation? In the Old Testament, there is this hidden gem of a story that I heard someone speak on about 3 years ago that I just continually go back to and honestly reconvicts me each time. And interestingly enough, it's a story about Israel, the people of God in the Old Testament. They are in this hot, dry desert. And it just so happens that they are also in a seasonal transition. There has just been a heavy rain season, and now the fast approaching summer season is coming. And it's really interesting. God has some specific instructions for them, instructions of preparation. So if you have a Bible, turn with me to Joshua chapter 3. If you don't have a Bible, we got you covered. There should be one underneath the chair in front of you. I'm going to read from that in page 147, I believe, as I turn there. Yes, page 147. Joshua chapter 3, verse 1. We'll have it up on the screen as well. But let me give you the context real quick. Israel, God's people, as I said, they've been going through a hot, dry desert for 40 years, which is crazy to think about. I go out without AC for a couple hours and I'm done. Like these people, 40 years in a hot, dry desert. Remarkable. And it's been a lot of twists and turns, lots of ups and downs. They are waiting for God to take them to the promised land. And it's called the promised land because God promised their ancestors that Israel would inherit this land. And this land was a land full of milk and honey. God's presence would saturate them, and they would be fruitful, and they would multiply. One thing that happened is that their leader, Moses, had just passed away. So they have a new leader. His name is Joshua, hence the clever name of the book of Joshua. Joshua now is at the last moment in time. They're on the brink of entering into the promised land. They are 5 or 6 miles out from the Jordan River. And all they need to do is cross the Jordan River, and boom, they're in the promised land. So this is where we pick up the scene now, verse 1. Early in the morning, Joshua and all the Israelites set out from Shittim. Now, I had to be really careful when I say that word, because I know some of you in here, I've heard this pronounced 2 ways, and I'm being very serious here, Shittim or Shittim. And so I know where some of your minds go and you laugh, but hey, Israel is leaving Shittim behind. Peggy. All right, moving forward. So they went to the Jordan where they camped before crossing over. Verse 2. After 3 days, the officers went throughout the camp, giving orders to the people. When you see the ark of the covenant of the Lord your God and the Levitical priests carrying it, you are to move out from your positions and follow it. Real quick, what's the ark of the covenant? It's this. The ark of the covenant was like the most holy piece of furniture in their tabernacle, which was like a mobile temple. The 10 Commandments were actually kept inside the ark of the covenant. The point is this. The ark of the covenant symbolized the presence of God. It was like the throne room of God. It was the most holy, sacred place. Verse 4, we continue on. Then you will know which way to go, since you have never been this way before. But keep a distance of about 2,000 cubits. That's about a half mile. So keep a half mile away from the Ark of the Covenant. Between you and the Ark, do not go near it. Verse 5. And this is the verse for this morning. Joshua said to them, consecrate yourselves, for tomorrow the Lord will do amazing things among you. Joshua said to the priests, take up the Ark of the Covenant and pass on ahead of the people. And so they took it up and they went ahead of them. Verse 8. Tell the priests who carried the Ark of the Covenant, when you reach the edge of the Jordan's waters, go and stand in the river. Skip to verse 13. And as soon as the priests who carried the ark of the Lord of all the earth, set foot in the Jordan, its waters flowing downstream will be cut off, bless you, and stand up in a heap. And so when the people broke camp to cross the Jordan, the priests carrying the ark of the covenant went ahead of them. And then here's how we know what season this is. Now the Jordan is at flood stage, all during harvest. Yet as soon as the priests who carried the ark reached the Jordan and their feet touched the water's edge, the water from upstream stopped flowing. It piled up in a heap at a great distance away, a town called Adam in the vicinity of Zarethan, while the water flowing down to the Sea of Arabah, that is the Dead Sea, was completely cut off. So the people crossed over opposite Jericho. The priests who carried the ark of the covenant of the Lord stopped in the middle of the Jordan, and they stood on dry ground, while all Israel passed by until the whole nation had completed the crossing on dry ground. Here's the main verse that I want you just to grab a hold of this morning. If there's nothing else you take, leave with Joshua 3:5. Joshua told the people, consecrate yourselves, for tomorrow the Lord will do amazing things among you. Simon Ponsonby is this great British preacher, theologian, really influential on me the last couple years. In talking about Joshua 3, he came up with this phrase, we'll put it up. Consecration brings visitation. Consecration brings visitation. Now I'm going to unpack the word consecration for you because it's not a common word for us. What he means by visitation is God coming and doing amazing things. God coming down and visiting his people and making his presence known. Okay, so that's what he means by visitation. So this word consecration, what in the world does that mean? Here's what it means. Literally, to set apart as holy. Okay, to consecrate something means to set it apart as holy. But that doesn't really help too much because the word holy isn't really a popular word for us anymore. In fact, most people, I think, don't even like talking about holiness because if we're honest, we almost have a negative perception to the topic of holiness. Oh, that's just for religious people, or that's just kind of for like old school, traditional, kind of prudish, stiff-necked people. Or that's only for like pastors or priests. In other words, when you hear the word holy, you probably don't think of something fun. Like you actually probably may think of the opposite. Oh, holy, that's like, I got to be careful and reverent. It's not a party or fun or enjoyable. But you got to know that in the Bible, that is not the connotation of holiness. In the Bible, to be holy or holiness is actually a really good and beautiful and kind of awe and wonder concept. So this is why God is called holy. Why is God called holy? Well, he's set apart. He's completely different. He's completely distinct. He's completely unique. He's completely other than. Why? Because he's the sole creator. He's the sole person who's eternal. He's all powerful. He's completely different and distinct and unique. He's holy. And that's a good thing. That's a beautiful thing. God is full of joy. He's not boring. He's not prudish. The interesting thing, though, is that God says, hey, to his people, be holy just as I am holy. So then the invitation for God's people, Israel in the Old Testament and the church today, is we should be holy. We should be set apart and distinct and unique. There's something to us, or at least there should be. Here's the fascinating thing, though. The church and Christians, we want God to do amazing things. God, heal this person. Give us these miracles. Grow this church. All these great things, and there's nothing wrong with praying that. But in the scriptures, it's almost like there's this spiritual principle that's this. Consecration. Intentionally setting yourself apart, preparing yourself, always comes before visitation. Meaning this: if you want God to do something amazing, there's this spiritual principle that you need to get ready for it, prepare yourself for it, consecrate yourself. Consecration precedes visitation. Joshua 3:5. Joshua told the people, consecrate yourselves, for tomorrow God will do amazing things among you. Now, I had to shorten things up. I don't have time to show you all these scriptures of this, but this is actually all over the Bible. But it's also not just in the Bible. I actually think we intuitively know this. So just last week, my oldest, Parker, 7 years old, we got done playing baseball, went to the championship game, lost, and so Tuesday night, his whole baseball season ended. And I had one of those great teaching moments, father-son. We want to learn, hey, when we lose, we can still get better. And so him and I are talking in the car as we're driving home from Ayala Park, to our house, and here was the conversation that I had with Parker. Hey, man, I know the season's over now. Like, it stinks. I'm not happy that we lost either. But here's what you got to know, bud. The season may be over, but this is actually the time where you can prepare to get better. And so I talked to him about what does off-season mean? And the off-season, if anybody who plays sports, I would say in a lot of ways, the off-season is what determines the regular season. Parker, you have the opportunity now to set yourself apart, to consecrate yourself every day with the way you practice. Fly balls, ground balls, hitting, pitching, on and on we go with all the drills that we can do. That's actually, in the off season, is actually when that matters the most, because you prepare yourself in the off season so that come the regular season, hopefully you have an amazing regular season. In many ways, I would say the off season decides the regular season. So, bud, this is the time now to prepare yourself. I didn't use the word consecrate, right? He wouldn't have understood that. But I think you guys do. Now some of you are just kind of like, whoa, the word consecrate and using that with baseball, like, Mark, that's weird. That doesn't fit. Isn't that just a religious word? Yes, but no. I would say that most of us today consecrate ourselves to someone or something every single day, and we just don't know about it. And actually, the issue is that we usually consecrate ourselves to someone or something other than God. Let me give you some examples. I've noticed just in the last month at the gym, there's been an uptick of people. Why? What's that? That's right. Julian's got it. They're preparing for summer. So what are they doing? They're consecrating themselves, in this case, their physical body and their time, schedule, and money. And they're intentionally setting apart time, and the ones who get really serious about it, they're, okay, 5 days a week, I'm gonna be lifting weights. I'm gonna have this really tight, nutritious meal, or actually meals a day that I'm gonna eat. High protein, low carbs. And they're gonna consecrate themselves. They're gonna intentionally set themselves apart in their body so that they can prepare for that summer body. Consecration's all over the place. Let me give you another example. People, we consecrate all the time in trying to climb the corporate ladder and advance yourself in your career. People consecrate themselves to their career every single day in America. And so they put a lot of time and energy in climbing the corporate ladder and doing all the right things and presentations and training and all this other stuff. By the way, none of it's bad. I'm not saying it's bad. But I'm just saying you set yourself apart for those things and prepare to get better all the time. Okay, let's do some more. We consecrate ourselves all the time with our retirement accounts. Oh, well, this month I need to save this amount of money so that at this age I get to this, and then what stocks or bonds do I invest them in? So I need to set these things apart, literally, this money in this account. Again, should you be saving for retirement, and should you start in your 20s? Absolutely. So, not talking bad of that, but what I'm saying is that you intentionally, the whole premise of retirement is that you intentionally prepare yourself now so that you have an amazing retirement at 65, 70, 75, 80, whatever it is. And here's the last one, and I'm beginning to taste this one now with Parker. I actually would say one of the biggest areas of consecration in the modern American world is youth sports. Oh yeah. Set yourself apart, your schedule, your money, your time, practices, travel ball, this new bat, we got to get this, let's do this, and it's every day. And every day it's multiple hours a day. And it's all what? Intentionally preparing yourself for hopefully an amazing whatever, gymnastics, baseball, basketball, soccer, whatever your thing is. Now, I am not bagging on any of those things that I just named. They are all good things in and of themselves. There's no problem with climbing the corporate ladder. There's no problem with retirement accounts. There's no problem with being a great soccer or baseball player. So I'm not bagging on that. But here's my question. Why don't we do the same thing for our own spirituality? Why do we intentionally consecrate ourselves to our career, a healthy lifestyle, retirement planning, athletics and hobbies, but then not our own eternal spirituality? How much more should we intentionally set ourselves apart for the creator of the universe? Yeah, different type of summer preparation. You know what I'm saying? It is an ouch. See, the living God of the Bible, the creator of the universe says, you want to experience my presence, you want to experience my power, you want to experience the amazing things that I have for you. Consecrate yourselves. For tomorrow, I will do amazing things among you. Your schedule, your money, your time, your hobbies, your routines, your energy, consecrate. Set them apart to God. For tomorrow, he will do amazing things among you. Okay, Mark, so practically speaking, what does this mean? What does it look like to consecrate myself in a daily way? This was the burden on my heart this past week. There's just 3 simple things that I wanted to share with you of what this looks like practically. We'll put these up on the screen. Here's the deal. These aren't like innovative. It's not like I'm like, oh, this is good. This is simple stuff. But honestly, this is how, if you want to consecrate yourself, here's what it looks like. This summer, you want to prepare yourself? Do this. Meditate on the scriptures daily, spend quiet, focused time in prayer daily, and practice fasting. And now every single one of those words I use is very intentional. Let me parse some of them out. You may read the Bible daily, but do you let the Bible read you? In other words, do you meditate on it? The Bible, you don't read it just for knowledge. You read it for personal transformation. Are you meditating on the scriptures every day? Spend quiet, focused time in prayer daily. I hear people say all the time, man, I had a great prayer time in my car today while I was stuck in traffic. Now, do I think it's great that you pray while you're in traffic? Absolutely. So again, not a bad thing. But here's the deal. I'm not sure if praying on the 91 freeway when you're stuck, I'm not sure if that's quiet, focused time. If that's the way that you treated your spouse, they would feel ignored. But that's how we treat God with our prayer life, is that we only go to him when it's convenient. And then fasting, do you practice it? Meaning, it's a habit. You're constantly fasting. My prayer for us as a church is, what if this summer, here's the point, as a church, this is what we went all out for? What if that's our training? What if that's our off season? And it's actually an off season where we press in more and lean in more. Not because we're trying to earn God's love. No. Not just to be religious or show off. If that's why you do it, then you're missing the point. The point is because you just want to be with him and become like him and do what he did. And you want to see the amazing things he's going to do. And so you know that you need to prepare yourself now for that. So go serve. There's additional things. Go serve in the kids' boom camp. Come here tomorrow night. Worship prayer night, 6:30 p.m. Those are both real examples of consecrating yourself, literally setting yourself apart in your schedule to be a part of, to seeing God do amazing things. So my question and my burden for you this morning is, how can you consecrate yourself? How can you intentionally prepare and set yourself apart that when God does amazing things come the end of the summer, you are prepared for it? And I want to say this, isn't it fascinating that Jesus, the Son of God, did these very things in a dry summer hot desert for 40 days before he even started his ministry? Go read Matthew 4. Jesus engaged in spiritual training before he officially launched his ministry. The amazing fruit of Jesus' ministry, healing, miracles, feeding the 5,000, powerful, convicting preaching, all of that was initially grounded in his off-season training of being immersed in the scriptures and fasting while he's in a hot desert for 40 days. If Jesus did that, how much more should we? Real quick, let me finish now with Joshua 3. Now, you already know the answer to this, but what was the amazing thing that God did among them in Joshua 3? Well, as we read at the end, they crossed the Jordan River to get into the promised land. And of course, the only way that they were able to get through the Jordan River was that God pretty much had to split it like he did for the Red Sea in Exodus, where he stopped the turbulent water flowing, which it was at high flood season, would have been half mile wide. He stopped it, became dry so that they could walk through the Jordan River and get to the promised land. That was the amazing thing that God did. And so Joshua says, consecrate yourself for tomorrow. The Lord will do amazing things among you. So here's what I want to do. Short message where I've talked about preparing yourself in an upcoming hot, dry season here in Chino. The flies are going to be out. We're going to love it. They're going to stick on your skin. It's going to be a beautiful thing. I want to end now by talking to you about the driest desert place on planet Earth. Maybe you've never heard of this, but the Atacama Desert in Chile. Let's put up a picture. So literally, scientists, you just Google this. Scientists, this is the driest place on planet Earth. It is hot and it is dry. So much so that, that's what the ground looks like. Very lovely, right? I mean, it's like summer year-round in the Atacama Desert in Chile. But you know what happens there in the Atacama Desert? And it's rare. It doesn't happen that much. Maybe every 5 to 7 years if it's lucky. But about that time frame, 12 years worth of rain hit in just 12 hours. And then this truly breathtaking, amazing phenomenon happens where probably millions of seeds in that dry, hot ground germinate, and pink and purple flowers super bloom everywhere, and it goes from that to that. Next picture. Oh, Mark, it's just the summer. It's just time to kick back and relax. I don't need to go to church this Sunday. I can just go do my Sunday brunch. The average American now they consider going to church, you just show up once a month. That's going to church now. Oh, it's summertime, kick back, I don't need to do this. We just watch some sports in the morning or whatever. It's summertime, man, I can just unplug. Yeah, let me ask you this. What if it's during the hot, dry summer that seeds are planted that may end up in a super bloom and you miss out? What spiritual seeds are you preparing and planting right now? What seeds are you preparing and planting intentionally in your life this summer, the next 2 months, that God may do an amazing super bloom with come August or September? You don't want to miss out on that. Joshua 3:5. Consecrate yourselves, for tomorrow the Lord will do amazing things among you.